Now, Condemned Criminal Origins was a production made by Monolith Studios back in 2005 and published by Sega. This game I played, I believe, about a year ago. Finished it completely in the channel. I've replayed it recently because when I played it for the first time, I was very gutted about how the game's story progressed. And the way the story progressed itself just left such a bad taste in my mouth that I didn't even review the game, which was going to be one of my first reviews in the channel, and I never really talked about it ever again. I recently revisited it again, played through it one more time, and I have to really go ahead and say, throughout this game's faults, and the game has a few of them, honestly, this is still a pretty dope survival horror experience. Probably one of the best games made in this hardware back in 2005. When I first played the game, the most that I didn't really like about it was the cinematics and the facial expressions, as you can see on screen at the moment. But the voice acting was pretty good, and it made the main character of the game pretty relatable, because the things that he was saying were things that a normal guy stuck in the situation would say. The characters and the story of the game, I think, is the weakest aspect by far. The game itself, the story begins as you are an FBI special investigator, I believe. I'm not sure if it's directly with the FBI or a made-up federal agency, but the point is you're a really good investigator, and you're currently tracking down a few serial killers. That's pretty much your job. And in that manhunt, you're also hunting down a serial killer that kills other serial killers. Most of the game revolves around that presence. You're pretty much looking for this so-called serial killer X and his whereabouts. This game, the strongest aspect of it has to be its gameplay. This game pretty much revolves around you in pretty much open-ended areas, surviving with whatever you can find around the map, whether that be melee weapons or guns. It's entirely first person. You have a few scripted sections of the game where you fall through walls or fall through holes to enter other sections of the game. There are a ton of melee weapons. There are only a few armed weapons, such as an assault rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol, I believe. You have an additional stun gun that you can use to stop enemies in their tracks and get a good few licks in. But this game mostly revolves around melee combat because it's pretty much automatic weapons and pistols are really hard to come by, and most of the time only have around 1 to 5 bullets inside of them, unless you're like in a little turret section where most of the time you're like in a house and you find a gun and the enemies keep dropping bullets for you. Other than that, really, this game, the premise of it I love. You're obviously hunting down the serial killers, one serial killer in particular. You're pretty much just traversing old hunting grounds like abandoned malls, abandoned subways, abandoned hospitals, underground facilities and storage units, and you're fighting anything from psychos to homeless people to crack addicts, from even the killers themselves. Sometimes they torture their victims and you end up fighting the victims and killing them. It's a very graphic experience. It's a very graphic game. It doesn't leave a lot to the imagination. And it definitely uses a lot of realistic aspects, like you have to cock all of your weapons to see, how many bullets you got left. And the melee weapons break over time, whether that be sharp weapons like cleavers and axes, or blunt weapons like, oil rigs, or not oil rigs, but tubes, metal tubes, from the ground, or planks, wooden planks. So yeah, it definitely uses an aspect of realism for its weapons. The HUD itself is pretty limited. All you can really see is your health, your stamina, and when you use a stun gun, the stun meter when it comes back up. Other than that, pretty much there is no HUD. The HUD is non-existent. I wish it would take those three things out. I believe that would make the game a lot better. But when it comes to gameplay, this game is pretty fucking solid. I'm not gonna lie. Like the ambiance, the music, the levels of the sections, everything is pretty freaking great, man. When it comes to the combat and to the gameplay, it centers completely on, you're exploring these sections, you're fighting these enemies, and it's pretty great. Sometimes you're gonna encounter a few boss battles, and the boss battles can be a little annoying because these individuals just get like really hard to kill to the point where you're just mad. Fuck. But, at the end of the day, where this game pretty much shines is with that gameplay, with that initial gameplay. The game also has a pretty darn good investigation feature where you use your different gadgets and weapons, or not weapons, but cameras and gadgets to look at your surroundings and investigate fingerprints, traces, blood, and all types of different little things. And I believe that feature adds another whole layer to this game, and it leads to a few pretty good jump scares here and there, and a few little tense moments where you're investigating dark rooms and dead bodies. And that investigation feature for a 2005 game is pretty freaking good, man. The game itself, honestly, for the most part, the game itself was really solid and really good, and I was loving it. It was actually scary and eerie and fun to play with and get through for the most part. But there's such a huge letdown by the few last hours of the game. The story is very cryptic. It leaves a lot to the imagination. You're this investigator, right? But you're also like almost superhuman. It's briefly explained that you've been tested on and augmented as, you've been tested on, and it says that you have a higher bone density, your heightened senses. When you touch specific artifacts, you can see visions of killers, but none of that information is clearly explained as to why. And there's a lot of stories that, leave a lot to be explained, but it feels rewarding and it makes sense by the end. And you can kind of put the pieces back yourself. But Condemned Criminal Origins does not do a good job at that. It leads you through this rabbit hole that by the end, when you finally find the serial killer that's hunting down the serial killers, you find out that he's being coerced by some sort of Hellraiser demon. And you have to fight this demon over and over again through a barn level and kill his demon minions. And honestly, it's a whole section of the game that I didn't get. The strongest aspects of this game is when you're investigating and in the sewers and in the stuff, just going through and through. And when you're not doing that, when you're doing other things, like fighting demons, the game just loses you. Now, obviously, everybody's gonna have a different opinion. I've heard a lot of opinions on this game that have called it a masterpiece, an underrated gem. But for me, even though I do consider it a pretty good title, even for a 2005 experience, the story ending left us a bad taste in my mouth that I just refused to review it, and I refused to talk about it, and I just felt bad. I just didn't want to even think about this game because I felt like the last hour of it just completely derailed because I was so invested in that story. And obviously, like I said, this is a very story, or I would say a very gameplay focused video game. And sure, I commend that, but if you're gonna give me this story and you're gonna do all these cinematics and go full AWOL on this, then I expect a good ending. But by the end, I was just confused, mad, nothing was explained. There was no reason. They kind of give you a hint of demonic possession and demonic entities taking control of humans and making them do atrocities and, you know, other dimensions, and they don't really explain why you're there, or, you know, this isn't Fear. You know, this game briefly set up this ending by showing you a couple of visions that this protagonist could see here and there, but it's not like from the beginning supernatural things are happening. Like when things finally go tailed up, it's very sporadic and all of a sudden, and it doesn't feel earned. It feels like they were very focused on making a particular grounded game, and by the end they didn't really know how to end it or what to do with the story's ending, so they just made up this weird demonic plot, and they were like, yeah, let's just put a few cutscenes, really, really, very, how would I say this, short cutscenes to maybe set up this demonic monster, and then, yeah, that'll be our ending. We'll just set up this whole boss fight in the barn, this Hellraiser demon, samurai, and you'll kill it, and then it'll still be kind of around because by the end of it, you know, you can either kill the serial killer X, or you can not kill it, or kill him. You know, you can listen to the demon or not, but by the end, you still turn into, like, some sort of demon yourself. And just the game itself just honestly just completely derailed. It was such a negative feeling. I just haven't felt that way in such a long time. Like, I was so lost. And I was so confused, and the game did such a horrid job of making it seem, because you can give a video game, you can change a plot of a story anytime you want in a medium, but you have to make it seem the least like it's earned, or explain yourself so it makes sense, and this game does neither of those things. So for me, it was a letdown. And I just want to go ahead and play the rest of this video, just a very long rant of my live reaction once I finish. When did this turn into like a supernatural horror game? At first it was like, we're hunting down serial killers that are in bad parts of town, they're hiding on subways, they're hiding in crack houses, they're hiding in abandoned shopping centers where there's just a bunch of hobos, and then we're going into their houses where they have their tortured victims, and they use their tortured victims as a way to defend themselves. They drive them crazy, like the Cleaver, like that guy, right? He tortured his victims, drove them mad, fucking made them cannibalistic. Fine. I'm down for all that stuff, man. I'm down for all of it. But I don't know where the fuck in the story I got lost, where all of a sudden this shadowy figure that you see on the goddamn cover, that I didn't think meant anything, kept appearing left and right. At first I thought that our protagonist could, like, he had visions of, like, when he touched somebody, kind of like the guy from Unbreakable, right? He was like psychic. You touch a victim or you see a crime scene and you can picture it in your head and how they died. But then he started seeing himself die and other people die and other people in other situations. Then we were in Neverland, and then we were like, and then the final boss battle is inside of a barn, and then while you're fighting this demon, this Hellraiser demon, you go to his dimension. What the fuck, man? 9 out of 10. Like the first. Okay. The last hour of this game completely derailed for me. Trying to find the serial killer X the serial killer that was killing serial killers because he wanted to get to me, because he wanted to prove that he was better than me, right, at catching killers, but he was still a killer, so he wasn't a vigilante, he was just an asshole, but he wanted to prove that he was better than me for no reason at all. I could have forgiven all that. All that could have been forgiven. All of it. And it could have just been about, okay, this dude, he has visions, and these visions make him go crazy, and he's seeing these demons. Why the fuck are we talking about cults? Why the fuck am I seeing demons? Who are these people? Why do I have superpowers? Pretty much, right? I'm a psychic. I'm practically done. At some point in the game, Rosa lets us know that we're actually, our bone density and our strength and everything about us is we're freaks, man. Why? Who knows why? Who knows if I'm just... And the ending. He goes to the bathroom, he starts coughing up, he starts vomiting, and then he turns into a demon? What the fuck? The whole game was like a 9, bro. It was like a 9 out of 10. And then the last hour just destroyed the whole story for me. Like, the story was derailed completely by the time that we got to the serial killer's house. The nephew of that old man. By the time we got there, the story... What the fuck? Okay, I saw the ending where he spares him. He doesn't shoot him, right? Because you have all the demons around you, like, trying to tempt you to shoot him. So he doesn't shoot him, but in the end, you still turn into a demon yourself. What the fuck are you talking about right now? What the fuck are we talking about? What are we talking about, huh? Who made this game? Who? What am I, fucking owl? Who made this game? Options? Nope. Achievements. Don't give a fuck about your achievements. The achievements did 0. Achievements. Take some fucking birds and pick up some metal. Nothing. Leaderboard. Leaderboards for what, dog? Oh. What the fuck is this, man? Go fuck yourself, Kitty Cat 22. Rank number 1 for what? Because you played this game 100 million times? And you've killed 36,000 enemies? Come on, dog. This game No. Whatever happened in the last hour of the game has no defense. I do not care what happens on the sequel. I am not going to play the sequel. No. I am like, okay, I really want to finish this game. It's so good. It's so creepy. It's so eerie. The atmosphere. It's so good. Everything about the game was amazing. If I would have played this game back in 2005, I would have had trauma for the rest of my life. The environments, the fighting, the weapons, how they feel, the sound design is so good. The graphics for the year that this game was released, it's so good. The only thing I was shitting about of the game was the cinematics, because even the voice acting was good. The cinematics and the character models looked trash. That was it. Everything else was great, man. How do you fuck this up? What the fuck? Why was I fighting a samurai? A demon samurai at the end of my game in another dimension? Why? Why am I fighting an army of Harvey Dents in a barn? Why? When the serial killer X has me in the barn, right? And he cuts off one of my fingers, and the uncle's like, Oh, go track down the person who did this. The real person responsible. Kill it. What the fuck are you talking about, dog? What are we talking about right now, man? Who am I killing? Why is he in the ceiling? Why does he jump like he's a fucking demon? Why is he covered in metal? Why is he screaming like that? Why? Trash. Not the game, the ending. Trash. The last hour of the game, trash. 9 out of 10, whole way through. The minute you get to the fucking barn, the minute you leave the house, right? The minute that because it was like the worst twist ever, man. The guy who was helping us, the old man, boxed me in the back of the head. And he's like, oh, nephew, please, please. Bro, you're not surprising nobody with that twist. No one. Nobody. The minute that shit started, it was a down, 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 and it just turned to shit.